A spokesman for the Foreign Ministry of Iran slammed the presence of U.S. troops in the Middle East as damaging to regional peace and stability. Melchezedek Cadiz reports.
In a recent press conference in the capital Tehran, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasir Kanani condemned the United States for only serving its own interests and demanded that the U.S. troops withdraw from the Middle East as soon as possible. According to the spokesman, the U.S. military presence in any region or country, including the Middle East, failed to contribute to peace and stability, but instead built and aggravated tensions in those places. In July 2015, Iran signed a nuclear deal with world powers, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. Under the deal, Iran has agreed to impose measures limiting its stockpile of uranium, critical for the creation of nuclear weapons, and reduce the number of its gas centrifuges for 13 years in exchange for the removal of U.S. sanctions in the country. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, however, withdrew from the deal in 2018 and reimposed its unilateral sanctions on Tehran. There is still no significant breakthrough since the last round of talks ended in August 2022. Negotiations are also underway for a prisoner swap deal wherein 5 American prisoners will be set free in exchange for 5 detained Iranian citizens and the release of $6 billion worth of frozen funds. Reporting this has been Melchezedek Cadiz, SMNI News, Kuwait.
A body cam footage caused outrage after a cop was heard laughing while talking about an Indian student who died after getting hit by a police car. The said cop was also heard saying that the student, and I quote, has limited value. Andrea Santos files this report.
I think she went up on the hood, hit the windshield, then when he hit the brakes, flew off the car. But she is dead.
This was the voice of Seattle Police Officer Daniel Oderer, recorded by a body cam. Oderer was responding to an incident where 23-year-old student Janvi Kandula was killed near her university. In the body cam footage, the officer was also heard suggesting that the life of the Indian student had limited value and that the city should just write a check.
No, it's a regular person. Yeah. Yeah, just write a check. Just, yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
The officer earlier said his comments were taken out of context. John V. Kandula was a graduate student at the Seattle campus of Northeastern University. On January 23, she was hit and killed by a police car while crossing on the street. A police investigation report said Seattle police officer Kevin Dave was driving the patrol car going 119 kilometers per hour that hit Kandula's body, which was thrown more than 30 meters. And Officer Otter was the one who was called to the incident, and his body cam recorded the audio from a call he made to another colleague named Mike Solan. Later, it was found out that Officer Otterer was the vice president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, while Mike Solan, the colleague he was talking on the phone, was the guild's president. Meanwhile, the Seattle Police Department stated that they discovered a conversation between Otterer and Solan from an employer who listened to it in the routine course of business. The said employee, whose name was not disclosed, was reportedly concerned about the nature of the statements and escalated it up to the chain of command. The issue was handed over to the Office of Police Accountability to investigate police misconduct. The video earned massive outrage. Meanwhile, Janvi Kandula's family stated that they are saddened to hear insensible comments from the officer on the body cam footage. The Indian consulate in San Francisco also demanded an investigation. Janvi Kandula arrived in Seattle from Bengaluru, India in 2021 to receive a master's degree for Science and Information Systems at the College of Engineering. She was supposed to graduate in December of this year.
But she is dead. Yeah, just write a check. Yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
Reporting, this is Andrea Santos, SMNI News.
Several countries in the Middle East expressed their solidarity and offered assistance to the victims of the deadly earthquake in Morocco and the devastating floods in Libya. Gratero Omori reports.
Two disasters struck North Africa in 3 days, leaving thousands dead and scores more missing in the region. On September 8, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck Morocco's high Atlas mountain range just before midnight. Morocco has witnessed the most powerful earthquake in more than 100 years. The death toll was already surpassed 8,000 as figures continue to rise. On September 10, Storm Daniel peaked in northeastern Libya, with the deadly floods to have claimed the lives of more than 11,000 people and over 10,000 others unaccounted for. However, officials estimate that as many as 20,000 people died in the catastrophic floods. Amid the devastating tragedy, assistance and solidarity poured from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, Algeria, Jordan, Iraq, Kuwait, Tunisia, and Turkey for the affected families and victims in Morocco and Libya. Aid from regional states has started arriving in both countries, including China, the United States, and Europe. Reporting from Dubai, this has been Gratero Omori, SMNA News, United Arab Emirates.
The Russian Foreign Ministry summoned U.S. envoy Lynn Tracy, setting the stage for the expulsion of 2 American diplomats, while Washington vowed to respond with retaliation. Jane Cognita reports.
Russia has kicked out 2 American diplomats, accusing them of collaborating with a spy. The diplomats Jeffrey Silin and David Bernstein allegedly had contact with a Russian who worked for the U.S. mission and was seen as an informant. Russia gave the U.S. 7 days to send them home. The Russian citizen, Robert Shonov, worked for the U.S. Consulate General in Vladivostok for more than 25 years until 2021, when Moscow ordered the consulate staff's dismissal. In a video confession, Shonov admitted that Silin and Bernstein asked him to gather information about Russia's actions in Ukraine, the annexation of new areas, military preparations, and the 2024 presidential election. U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller claimed that Russia's action was wholly without merit and that Washington will respond accordingly. He also mentioned Russia's ongoing harassment of embassy staff and its own citizens. Meanwhile, the Foreign Ministry of Russia stated that, quote, unlawful activity by the U.S. diplomatic mission, including interference in the domestic affairs of the host state, is unacceptable and will be stopped with determination. Both countries have been doing this to their diplomatic representatives for years. It began when former U.S. President Barack Obama started shutting down consulates after accusing Russia of interfering in the 2016 presidential elections. Russia then retaliated in July 2017. Reporting, this has been Jane Cognita, SMNI News.